morning friends. 13 October International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction by the General Assembly of United Nations. अस्सलाम वालेकुम दोस्तों। 13 अक्टूबर का दिन अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा की जनरल असम्बली के मुताबिक कुदरती आफात के खतरे में कमी के आलमी दिन के तौर पर दुनिया भर में हर साल मनाया जाता है। The International Day for Natural Disaster Risk Reduction is observed annually on 13 October every year to raise awareness about the risk of disasters and its reduction. In 1989, the International Day of Disaster Risk Reduction was started by the United Nations General Assembly. The day celebrates to promote a global culture and risk awareness and disaster reduction, and how people and communities around the world are reducing their exposure to disaster and raising awareness about the importance of reining in the risk they face. The International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction is an opportunity to acknowledge the progress being made towards preventing and reducing disaster risk and losses in lives, livelihoods, economics, and basic infrastructures in line with the International Agreement for Reducing Global Disaster Risk and Losses. In 2015, at the third UN World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in Sendai, Japan, the international community was reminded that disasters hit the hardest at the local level with the potential to cause loss of life and great social and economic upheaval. Sudden onset disasters displace millions of people every year. Disasters, many of which are exacerbated by climate change, have a negative impact on investment in sustainable development and desired outcomes. It is also at the local level that capacities needs to be strengthened urgently. The Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction is people-focused and action-oriented in its approach to disaster risk reduction and applies to the risk of small-scale and large-scale disasters caused by the man-made or natural hazards, as well as related environmental, technological, and biological hazards and risks. In 2022, the International Day will focus on Target G of the Sendai framework, substantially increase the availability of and access to multi-hazard early warning system and disaster risk information and assessment to the people by 2030. The urgency to achieve this target was strengthened in March 2022 by the announcement by the United Nations UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres that the United Nations will spearhead new action to ensure every person on earth is protected by early warning system within 5 years. The 2022 edition takes place during the midterm review of the Sendai framework, which will conclude at a high-level meeting of the General Assembly in May 2023 with a potential declaration. The primary goal of the Sendai framework is to avoid creating new and reduce existing risk, but when that is not possible, people-centered early warning system and preparedness can enable early action to minimize the harm to people, assets, and livelihood. May God save our earth, save our universe from all types of the natural and man-made disasters. Amen. Goodbye.